We just had to not like each other for a bit.
You had to not like me, which came easy.
So easy.
People hated The Last of Us Part 2. It was massively divisive.
The Last of Us was plagued by complaints of bad casting, and The Last of Us 2 is not faring much better.
The creator of the show is finally speaking out about its failure. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin admits Season 2 was a failure.
First, her show got canceled. Then the internet accused her of dropping an OnlyFans. And the receipts looked way too real. But here's the wild twist. It wasn't even her. Bella Ramsey just became the face of one of the most insane AI deepfake scandals we've seen in Hollywood. And what happened after? Straight up career chaos. There was a moment when Bella Ramsey could do no wrong. After making Jaws drop as the fierce and fearless Lyanna Mormont on Game of Thrones, she didn't just steal scenes. She practically hijacked them. Hollywood took notice, fast. Casting directors labeled her a prodigy, a natural-born disruptor. She wasn't chasing fame, she was redefining it. So when HBO announced her as Ellie in The Last of Us, the internet exploded. Fans had opinions, strong ones, but Bella pushed forward with unapologetic confidence. Her performance was raw, emotional, and deeply human. Critics called her bold. Gen Z called her real. And for a brief moment, she was on top of the world. Offbeat, outspoken, and unshakably authentic. It looked like Bella had secured her place as the face of a new kind of Hollywood. No filters, no fakeness, just truth. But in this industry, fame moves fast, and so does backlash. Because while Bella's ascent was meteoric, what happened next came crashing just as quickly. Up next, a single image spreads like wildfire, and no one's ready for what it unleashes. It all started with a clip. Just a few seconds of Bella talking in an interview. Relaxed, unguarded, maybe a little too honest. But online, it hit like a bomb. The quote was clipped, reshared, twisted. Out of context, it sounded like she was mocking fans, brushing off criticism like it didn't matter. At first, people debated. Was she joking? Was she serious? But once the clip went viral, the internet didn't wait for clarification. Memes flooded in. Fan pages started turning sour. Suddenly, Bella's confidence was being reframed as arrogance. The girl who once spoke for a generation was now being accused of talking down to it. She hadn't done anything wrong, at least not intentionally, but that didn't matter. The narrative was shifting. Fast. Her facial expressions, her tone, even her posture in that clip were dissected and ridiculed. It wasn't just backlash, it was mockery. And just when it seemed like things might blow over, the next scandal hit. And this one was far darker. Because the very next day, an image surfaced. And it was like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. A grainy screenshot, low resolution, barely legible, but enough to spark chaos. A supposed leak from Bella Ramsey's alleged OnlyFans account began spreading on Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok like a virus. Within hours, the internet was drowning in AI-generated explicit content falsely tied to her name. The reactions were split. Some were furious, calling it desperate. Others claimed it was empowering, but almost nobody stopped to ask if it was even real. And by the time her team responded, it didn't matter. The screenshots had gone viral. Videos speculating on it racked up millions of views. Deep fakes so advanced they fooled even her die-hard fans, flooded timelines. It wasn't just a rumor, it was a digital wildfire. Bella hadn't posted anything. The account was 100% fake. But in 2025, reality doesn't matter when the internet decides what's true. The scandal wasn't about content, it was about control. About what happens when someone hijacks your image, your identity, and uses it for clicks. And Bella? She just became a cautionary tale. But what powered this scandal wasn't human. It was machine-made. And things were about to get even creepier. What people didn't realize at first was that this wasn't some clumsy Photoshop job. It was next-gen artificial intelligence. Deep, fake tech so advanced, even experts were rattled. Facial expressions, skin tone, lighting, it all looked disturbingly real. Bella's face was stolen, manipulated, and sold. She She was the victim of a high-level digital impersonation, and the internet couldn't tell the difference. The more her team tried to fight it, the worse it got. Every denial became fuel for another theory. Conspiracy videos exploded on YouTube. AI experts stepped in, warning that we'd entered a new era where anyone's face could be weaponized. And Bella? She became the poster child for this terrifying reality. But the scariest part wasn't just that the images existed. It was that people believed them. Her reputation, her safety, her career, suddenly all hanging in the balance over something she had zero control over. And while the world argued about what was real, something even more devastating was happening quietly behind the scenes. Because while Bella was battling the internet, the game that made her famous was quietly falling apart. Gamers had been whispering about it for months. Hints, leaks, cryptic tweets from developers. Something wasn't right at Naughty Dog. The Last of Us. Part 3 was supposedly in development, but the updates stopped. No trailers, no statements, just silence. Then came the insider leaks. Massive creative disagreements. Writers leaving the project. Developers clashing over the story, direction, tone. And right at the center of that storm, Bella Ramsey. Not by choice, but by association. Her portrayal of Ellie had always divided fans. Some praised her performance as powerful and real. Others never fully embraced her, saying she didn't match the original Ellie's spirit. So when the project stalled, all eyes turned to Bella. Rumors spread that she was being quietly replaced. Reddit threads dissected her every move, and what should have been her next big moment was turning into something much darker. A scapegoat for a game that was falling apart from the inside. But if people thought she'd stay silent during the chaos, they were very, very wrong. The gaming community can be fiercely loyal, but also brutally unforgiving. As development on The Last of Us 3 collapsed, fan frustration exploded. For some, Bella became the symbol of everything that had gone wrong. Memes mocked her. Forums tore into her acting, her appearance, even her voice. The same fan pages that once praised her were now demanding she be recast. Petitions started circulating. Hashtags like #NotMyEllie trended. It didn't matter that the game's delays had nothing to do with her. The narrative was out of her hands. To make things worse, her previous interviews, ones where she joked about not playing video games or didn't fully engage with the fandom, started resurfacing. The mood shifted from disappointment to resentment. It wasn't just about the game anymore. It was about loyalty, identity, and betrayal. And Bella, she found herself standing alone with a fan base that no longer saw her as Ellie, but as the outsider who'd never really belonged. So when she finally spoke out, it wasn't just bold, it was explosive. In a move that shocked even her supporters, Bella didn't stay quiet. She gave interviews, lots of them. And in those moments, she didn't hold back. She called out toxic fandom. She questioned the entitlement of certain fans. She stood by her version of Ellie, unapologetically. And while some admired her honesty, the internet wasn't ready. Clips were sliced, edited, and shared without context. Her strongest moments were twisted into sound bites that made her seem arrogant, dismissive, even hostile. The media jumped in. Headlines accused her of attacking the very fan base that made her famous. Suddenly, she wasn't the brave, outspoken actress anymore. She was the ungrateful one. And just like that, Bella's words, meant to defend herself, became the very thing people used against her. She had tried to reclaim her narrative. Instead, she poured gasoline on the fire. But the fire wasn't finished yet, because the internet had more dirt to dig up. Just when it felt like things couldn't get worse, the internet did what it does best. Dig up old clips. Interviews from before The Last of Us aired, back when Bella was still new to the spotlight, started making rounds again. In one, she laughed about not really caring much for video games. In another, she shrugged off criticism from angry gamers and joked about not understanding the obsession with staying true to the original character. Back then, those comments barely made a ripple. But now, they were being dissected like evidence in a trial. Fans who once defended her casting felt betrayed. Even neutral viewers began to wonder, did she ever respect the franchise in the first place? What once seemed like refreshing honesty started to feel off. Scheduled appearances were quietly canceled. Events she was supposed to headline now had her name removed. Co-stars who once hyped her up were noticeably distant. Whispers started circulating within industry circles. Bella Ramsey was becoming a liability. Publicists hesitated. Brands backed away. Studio execs began questioning whether her image was worth the risk. And all of it, over a scandal she didn't even cause. The fake account, the AI images, the out-of-context interviews. None of it should have mattered. But perception is everything in Hollywood, and Bella's image had become radioactive. She wasn't the edgy rising star anymore. She was the walking controversy everyone wanted to avoid. And once the industry starts turning its back, the spiral gets even faster. Because when Hollywood gets cold, it doesn't come with a warning. It just shuts the door. By now, even people who knew the OnlyFans account was fake had stopped caring. The damage had already been done. The AI images still floated around on sketchy corners of the web. Headlines kept using her name to bait clicks. YouTubers made entire careers off speculating about her downfall. At a certain point, the line between truth and fiction disappeared. People weren't sharing the facts. They were sharing the drama. It didn't matter that Bella's team had issued multiple statements, or that digital forensic experts confirmed the content was AI generated. The memes were more powerful than the truth. The internet had moved on, but Bella was still stuck in the storm. Her name had become a punchline, her image hijacked by something she never signed up for. And in the age of viral culture, even the truth can feel like just another rumor. But now the backlash wasn't just public, it was personal. And Bella's identity itself was under fire. This was no longer about one fake account or one unpopular opinion. Bella Ramsey's entire public identity was unraveling. The fan pages, gone. The admiration, turned to ridicule. Memes mocked her expressions, her voice, even her fashion choices. She couldn't do anything without it becoming content. Online polls labeled her the most overhyped star of the year. Petitions demanding her removal from all gaming-related projects gained thousands of signatures. The same fans who once defended her casting were now questioning if she should have ever been involved in the franchise to begin with. Her interviews were clipped and edited into parody videos. Her name, once attached to empowerment and boldness, was now a magnet for controversy. And the more she tried to move forward, the more the past pulled her back. Her reputation wasn't just damaged, it was collapsing. And everyone was watching it happen, one brutal comment at a time. But the real danger? Hollywood was watching too, and quietly making its final judgment. At first, it wasn't obvious. No big press announcements, no dramatic fallout, just silence. Scripts stopped coming in. Casting directors stopped calling. Projects that once had her in mind were suddenly moving in a different direction. Her team knew what was happening, even if no one said it out loud. Hollywood wasn't interested in the drama anymore. It just wanted distance. Publicists began removing her name from press pitches. PR firms declined to represent her. Even smaller indie filmmakers felt she brought too much baggage. And that fake scandal? It still followed her everywhere. Journalists asked about it in interviews. Tabloids couldn't stop running with it. She hadn't done anything wrong. But that didn't matter. Because in Hollywood, what people believe about you is more powerful than what's actually true. And once you're labeled as a problem, it's almost impossible to get a second chance. So her team made one last move. Go dark, regroup, and try to salvage what was left. Behind the scenes, Bella's team went into overdrive. They brought in crisis consultants, brand strategists, and media fixers. The plan? Rebuild her image from scratch. No more interviews, no more controversy, just time away, followed by a slow, careful return. But the question wasn't whether they could fix her image. It was whether anyone wanted them to. The gaming community still felt burned. The casual viewers had moved on. And the industry? Already chasing the next new thing. Bella's name had become synonymous with chaos, It's about the rules of modern fame and how fast they've changed. In 2025, it doesn't take much to ruin someone's career. One fake image, one clipped quote, one viral tweet. It doesn't even have to be true, just believable. The deep fake that sparked this chaos was 100% fabricated. But the impact? Devastatingly real. Her reputation, her roles, her future, all shaped by a digital lie the internet refused to question. Bella wasn't just a rising star, she was the warning sign. Proof that in today's world, fame is fragile and public opinion is brutal. Maybe she'll come back, maybe she won't, but her story is far from over. Because whether she rebuilds her career or disappears from the spotlight entirely,